energy is just the ability of something to do work or be in motion. Just if it has the ability to move or be moved in any way, if it has the ability to function or just be, it has the ability to have energy. That's everything that you can see or not see, everything that exists or doesn't exist. Why is energy important? Because once you understand the science of how energy works, you can understand how to shift your mind almost instantly. Why? Because the body is made up of multiple energies, vibrations, and frequencies. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But the reason energy is so important is because it's what drives your emotions and feelings. Your emotions and feelings are what drive all of your behaviors. So if we're trying to manifest amazing stuff, we have to go back to the basics of what's really going on. It's like you can't have, let's just take a simple medication that everybody's familiar with. You can't make aspirin if you don't go down to the chemistry of it. And that's what we're doing with your mindset and your emotions, okay? So, vibrations. Vibrations are nothing but electromagnetic waves moving. That's it. Everybody can agree that there are I am literally shooting sound waves at you right now, right? That's energy, electromagnetic waves moving. Frequencies are just how fast or how often they move. And all those numbers put together create the matter, which is the particles that occupy physical space, and that's you as a precious human. So we have energy, the ability to do work, right? We have the frequencies, just the electromagnetic, all the stuff is moving that makes up with us, and then how fast they move makes us. And our ability to work, run, play, be, feel, every verb that we can do comes from energy. Why is this important? Because the closer objects are to those same vibrational frequencies and matters, remember, every single thing has energy. That sounds real sciencey. Money has energy. Relationships have energy. Friends have energy. Kids have energy. And the closer you are to that vibrational pull, the more powerful it is. Concerning energetic ability, like attracts like, I will give you the official scientific grandma term. Birds of a feather flock together. Right? Everybody's heard that one. Very, very true. Like attracts like. Here's where I want to put some of this together for you. In naturopathic medicine, all of you who are in here, does everybody in here do oils? All of you do oils? Okay, so then I can speak from that place. We understand the power of natural medicine because we all use it, right? I mean, even if it's just tea tree for pink eye, we all use the oils. We have found scientifically that the oils are literally one of the fastest way to shift emotions because we're utilizing the olfactory senses. This is very important because when we are trying to shift our emotions, we are literally shifting how fast vibrations are moving in our body, as well as those frequencies. Here's where it gets deeper. You have an emotional digestive system, just like you have a physical digestive system. And have you ever, who here has heard the phrase, give me a minute to take that in? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. I can't digest that right now. Mm-hmm. That's literally happening. But we failed ourselves in our culture and our society because we don't give credence where credence is due, and we recognize one set of systems and not the other set of systems. But the catch is the other set of systems is what control the set of systems that we actually acknowledge. When you do not digest what's happening in your life properly, your body finds a place to store it. Your body naturally knows where certain frequencies, vibrations, and chemistries goes. That sounds real scientific, right? Until I break it down like this. Who here takes Pepto-Bismol for a headache? Who here takes aspirin for a bellyache? Why not? Don't worry, you can't give me a wrong answer. Nobody ever gets it right.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Why not?
Wrong formula.
It's the wrong formula. It's the wrong chemistry. It's the wrong frequency and vibration to make the chemistry that interacts with that particular part of your body, creating the healing, which is an energy and frequency all of its own. So when you're taking in emotions, and when you're trying to deal with a whole bunch of stuff that you don't have the tools to deal with, you literally, it's like eating bad food. Your body doesn't really know what to do, so it finds the appropriate garbage can for it to stick in. And when you're actually processing the emotion and the feeling correctly, you have an organ that stores that. So what I mean is, you've heard of people talk about chakras and meridians, right? Chakras and meridians are literally your emotional digestive system. I'm not coming from the open up your chakras and listen to the gongs. Not coming from that place. I'm coming from a real scientific place that just like you have a skeletal system, a nervous system, a digestive system, all of those same systems in your emotional body are called chakras. And those are the systems that travel through your body. Those are the areas that do specific functions. Anything to do with your crown chakra has to do with your intelligence. It has to do with your awareness. It has to do directly with your pineal gland in your brain, which tends to be spirituality and directly connected to intuition. I might miss one. Your third eye chakra, as they call it, this chakra right here, deals with everything truth and awareness. Your throat chakra is speech. Who here hasn't used their voice when they knew they should have, but you didn't know what was happening when you spoke up? I put up a foot if I could, years and years. That's why I do what I do. Because for years I didn't realize how important my voice was. And my life was centered around all these insecurities and lies that I had been told. Because nobody's ever heard sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt you, right? Biggest freaking lie. I would love to jack slap the dummy that said that. Like, I don't know who decided that lie was okay, but we have been passing along the wrong stuff forever, because that will hurt you worse than anything else. When you don't know how to process your feelings and emotions correctly, guess where it goes? It does if you process it correctly. So what I mean by processing correctly is somebody very important that I really love passes away. I'm going to grieve. That's going to settle in my heart chakra. Grief is the appropriate emotion for that, right? But we're going to call this a safe space. What happens in here stays in here. Like I said, that is going to go to my mentor, who is a doctor, so nobody else will see that. So I really want you guys to feel open to share. Who here has been through trauma? Like trauma. When you've been through trauma, especially as a child, we often learn how to process our emotions through the emotion that's safest for us. For example, for me, I grew up in a home with a narcissist that was very controlling. You were not allowed to have an opinion unless it was given to you. You were not allowed to speak unless you were spoken to. And you were constantly, I have to use the term that the kids say, and if you don't know what that means, let me know and I'll explain it deeper. We were constantly shaded. So it would be comments like, wow, you do this for a person, for a person who ... It was that kind of thing. So I learned to feel my emotions. Oh, and also, if they argued with you, there were no fair rules. There were no fair arguments, respectful arguments with boundaries. You were decimated. So I learned to field all of my emotions through the emotion of hurt. Oh, you cussed me out, or I'm thinking through things in my life. Oh, you stole my boyfriend and you knew I liked him, and I'm never interested in anybody, but I liked him, and you stole him, and you're supposed to be my best friend. I should have been pissed off. I was hurt. I was devastated. Now, are those appropriate emotions for things happening like that? Absolutely they are. But I would totally skip anger because I wasn't allowed to be angry, because in the household I grew up, you weren't allowed to be. How dare you question me? How dare you? Who do you think you are? I didn't have the right to have an opinion or use my voice, so I found how to feel things so that they were acceptable for everybody else to digest but me. And when we do that, our emotions don't know where to go. When you process an emotion, but you don't know how to process it fully. I said that wrong. When you process a feeling, but you don't know what to do with the emotion, that's where it can settle into places like your liver. Your liver houses things like anger, resentment. Your gallbladder houses betrayal, sabotage. When things are going on with your throat chakra, you don't speak your real truth. We'll see it show up a lot in your gallbladder. When you don't feel like you have a safe place or a foundation, a lot of times people will have lower back problems. When you don't feel nourished or safe or have been sexually abused, women will also have pretty severe gynecological problems, fibroids, tumors, pelvic slippages, UTIs a lot. You'll see a lot of things in that area. When you are not allowed to take care of yourself and have been never taken care of properly, people can love you deeply, but that doesn't mean they love you properly. Do y'all know what I mean by that? Have you guys ever had somebody who or been in a relationship where that person, they love the crap out of you, but they totally didn't speak your love language at all? Right? That's what I'm talking about. Somebody can love you deeply, but not love you properly. And so when we see things like that, we'll see things show up in the breast a lot. Now and I'm not talking that disease is always that, but when there are underlying conditions, you can inherit, there's a such thing as epigenetic memory. You can inherit up to 7 generations of emotions. Up to 7. When COVID hit, they launched a study of Black men who were having flashbacks from slavery, and they couldn't figure out why. And so what they found is they've gone back up to 7 generations, and you can look up those statistics. They're out there, and I always find that really, really interesting. So what happens when you're doing this is you're processing it. You're internalizing all of this. You're trying to figure out how to digest it. You're trying to figure out, where does this matter sit in your heart? How does this matter hit your gut? By the way, if you take nothing else from what you hear from me tonight, your gut is always right. Your gut is always right. Don't care if you understand it. Don't care if you don't like what it's telling you. Don't care if you even know what it's saying. Your gut is always, always, always right. Always right. And what we do a lot of times with our gut is we code it in insecurity. Well, that's just me being this. Or that's just me being that. I got this feeling, but I'm probably just, right? Who here has done that? I will excuse the shit out of something, y'all. I will be like, that's just because I was tired. being a little sensitive today. And your gut is going, no, girl, I'm trying to tell you, because I said all of that because I want you to really understand what's happening in your body. You had the ability to metal detect. I have no better words, so follow me on this. You have the ability to metal detect energy before you had the ability to speak. That's how you knew you were safe in the womb. As you were developing in there, you were fielding energy, and the only thing you had, it never went away. It never went away. Your brain records absolutely everything from the time it was developed until right now in this moment. But we have 3 brains, and those 3 brains have 3 brains. And what it is your 3 brains, your gut, your heart, your head. Your gut is your metal detector brain. That's your spirit brain. That's the thing that tells you about people's energy. All your gut is trying to tell you. I can't speak for y'all, but for me, I didn't have enough self-esteem to know what to do when my gut flared and was like, something is wrong. I just didn't have the chutzpah to really, or the tools to know what to do with it. So a lot of times I'd be like, shut up, girl, it's okay. Like, it's just you being you. But the reality was I didn't understand that your gut was not trying to give you physical information. Your gut was there to tell you whether that person, that circumstance, that opportunity, or what was told to you aligns with your energy or doesn't align with your energy. Your gut is just there to tell you, open up the boundaries or shut them down. Make them tighter. Put some space there. Once you listen, it's like going to the gym. Am I the only one has been like, I'll go to the gym when I feel better? Nobody's told that lie, right? No, boo, you feel better when you go to the gym. You got to get there first. That's exactly how the gut is. When you actually listen and you honor the boundary is just, let me put some space here. Or wait a minute, maybe I'm just going to tap my foot into this opportunity and see what happens. When you're willing to do that, guess what? Your vibration and frequency much closer matches the vibration and frequency of that which lies ahead positively for you. Like attracts like. Going back to what we were talking about with naturopathic medicine, that's literally how they know what this stuff does. Because if you give it to a healthy person, it causes this. But if you give it to a sick person, it takes all of those symptoms that it causes in a healthy person away. So, for instance, everybody's familiar with the dreaded COVID-19 ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We've all been touched by it. One of the things that happens when you get it is a really, really bad cough. Well, we now know that there is an herbal plant, I'm just using this as my first example that came to my head, called belladonna. Guess what it causes? A really horrendous cough. So guess what belladonna does when you have a really bad cough and you take it, even if you have COVID? Cuts that cough like that. That's what it's known to do in naturopathic medicine. I say that to say this, like attracts like. Whether it be in circumstances, in friendships, in relationships, in money, in dreams, in visions, like attracts like. So back to your 3 brains with 3 brains. And heart gut. Each of those brains has a direct connection to your conscious, superconscious, and subconscious mind. So I want to talk to you about those. They now know that your heart, that's your second brain, actually has a brain of its own. They've just discovered that in the past 5 years. They noticed that people who had heart transplants were fully having the full memories of their donors. So much so, there was 2 that really launched this incredibly big study. And I'll give you the probably not politically correct version in the interest of time. 9-year-old is savagely murdered. 10-year-old gets her heart. 9-year-old is able to actually recognizes where the murder happened, worked with a forensic psychologist, and they found all the evidence they needed to get the guy. And she told him what he looked like. The other one, a lesbian 19-year-old couch potato. I warned you it wasn't going to be politically correct. Got the heart of a 26-year-old athletic triathlete who was, she was a hoe. That's how they described her. And she was heterosexual. The 19-year-old got the heart. She could no longer stomach meat. They had to put her on antidepressants because she couldn't work out, and she was no longer homosexual. Those are the two cases that parts of the study that now has come to lead them to the conclusion that the heart has its own brain. And then, of course, the brain. And I'm not going to go into detail because you've been taught about the brain having a subconscious mind. What we haven't been taught is that the brain also has a superconscious mind. The superconscious mind is what, let me back up. The mind has this thing in it called the RAS system. RAS, R-A-S, Reticular Activating System. It is, in layman's terms, the bodyguard of the brain. What tells you it functions at an energy that signals importance to the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system is kind of like the machinery of your computer. It has access to all the components, right? Well, the reticular activating system, I bet every last one of us have had a firsthand experience with it when you guys bought or purchased or received a new car. Then you notice every daggone car on the road like yours. Out of nowhere, right? That is the reticular activating system. That is actually what causes you to notice that. It says, because we've signaled that this is important to us. We put a very specific energy that flagged this part of your brain that says this is this is really important to us. Why is this important? Because the conscious brain, y'all, it really doesn't do too much. Like, we think our conscious mind is doing all this crap. It is not. It's like the laziest part of your brain. The conscious brain only really controls analysis, so your opinions, your behaviors, your goals, and your plans. That's really all the conscious brain does, awareness. Your subconscious mind deals with the long-term memory, emotions and feelings, habits, patterns, addictions, creativity, everything your body involuntarily does, your spiritual connection, and your involuntary bodily functions. So your subconscious mind, that's the head one on campus. That's the stuff that you aren't even aware of. So if we don't bring awareness to that subconscious mind, what's going to change? Because I'm telling you, we call it willpower in the wrong way. There really is kind of no such thing as willpower in the way our culture has taught it. We only have willpower, right? Who here has been on a really failed diet? Like really failed diet, right? I am going to go on Whole30 and I'm not going to eat sweets or chips or whatever for 30 days. And you'll be sitting and you'll be like, Gwen, I missed a potato chip. I sure am tasty. All of a sudden I get hungrier and it gets louder and louder and louder. Why do we do that? We do that because your subconscious mind is telling you that you need that for A, B, C, or D. I won't get into this today in the interest of time, but the foods that you crave actually signal what's emotionally going wrong in your life. A lot of times we crave really salty things, chips, pretzels, things like that. When our adrenals are struggling. Adrenals deal with the stress component, and we crave things like potato chips. Most people will crave potato chips. You know why? Because it's in the ground. It's earthing. It's another way to earth. There are very specific reasons why you do what you do that you have no idea, that energetically your subconscious mind is very aware and schooled of. Then there is your superconscious mind. The superconscious mind is everything that processes in your brain concerning trauma, shame, your higher self, your best self, things that the reticular activating system doesn't benefit a place for. It's the stuff that you don't need, but it's protecting you by making you forget, or you just simply don't have enough RAM up there, right? And things like what it looked like in your mother's womb. You don't need to know that. So those are things that are actually in your superconscious mind. And that's important because without understanding the subconscious and superconscious mind, you will only be able to change the outcomes of your life haphazardly because you won't know how it's put together. Unlike emotions, feelings are temporary in nature. They're belief systems and they're a deeply held framework in the subconscious mind. Our brains are always, everything you do, whether self-sabotage or not, every single thing you do, your body is doing to protect you. But while you can be one of the most brilliant people on earth, our brains are pretty stupid in how they file things. Your brain will always work very hard to make sense of what's happening to you. The problem is when you're 3 years old and you have a crazy parent or an alcoholic parent or an abusive father who's abusing your mother or any kind of trauma, you don't have enough information to make it make sense. So you take the information that you do at that age and you come up with a conclusion that then turns into belief. Well, if I was better, if I was quieter, if I would have done this, if I would have said that, this would have been different. And then we hold that belief as our truth. And it's running all the programming in our brain because that's what we have to make it make sense. And it's a bald-faced lie. But we grow up believing it because where you experience trauma, shame, indignity, it was important enough in your reticular activating system to go, we're going to make sure she never experiences this again. Where I see this a lot in this generation, especially of kids, teenagers, things like that, anxiety, like that will come up out of nowhere. Because your brain knows if it sends anxiety to you, you're going to haul butt out of there. So it's actually trying to protect you and get out of a situation that at one point in time intimidated you, frustrated you, whatever. It can also be that you had antibiotics and your gut is messed up. But when it's a true anxiety, attack, that's what's really happening. So when we can look and develop some tools, some mindset tools, then we are able to say, that's not the truth. I like to use an example of a young lady, gorgeous girl, like just stunning woman, had this best friend. And it was drama. They had liked each other. They had been best friends since they were like 13 years old. But they were always with somebody else. It was one of those things like, well, now she got a boyfriend and I just broke up with my girlfriend. Well, he's got a girlfriend and now we're not together. Finally, they're both like 33 years old. They finally got together. He was more drama than she bargained for. He had 2 babies' mamas. And they were all kinds of stereotypical. And it was just this big hassle. And when they got in the relationship, she was like, when it was not what I thought it was going to be. So they broke up. She finds out a week later that she's pregnant. She's like, oh, Lord, I'm stuck with him the rest of my life. 2 weeks after that, she has a miscarriage. She calls me bawling about what a terrible person and terrible mother she is because she feels like she's not sad that her baby died. But I happen to know when I called to check on her the weekend before, she had cried all weekend grieving that child. So what happened? What happened was her brain squished together, oh, thank you, Jesus, I don't have to deal with this man for the rest of my life. smushed it together, trying to create homeostasis in our brain. Our brains file that crap all the time. It goes like this and finds a hole that it can fit in, and it'll stick it in there. So when we learn to actually file our thoughts correctly, then that's when we start shifting things. So I want you guys to get out your pen and paper right now. And I want you guys to do something with me. Okay? I want you just to close your eyes for a second. And I want you to think, what do you want less of? What do you want less of? Do you want less insecurity? Do you want less havoc in your life? I want you to think about a scenario that still bothers you in your heart. It comes up in your spirit every now and then, just out of nowhere, and you can get mad or hurt or upset or grieve it all over again, just like that. And I want you to think about what that brings to you, and that should be one of your I want less of that. I'm going to give you guys just a second.
So we want to write that down.
Yes, I want you to write that down. I was like, and it told me about my brain. I was like, that bee, she's been doing that to me all along. Your brain, especially if you had any kind of trauma or resistance in your life, like I have, your brain will go to a place of survival mode in stress. In stress, we operate in fight and flight, but we ideally are supposed to be in rest and release. Okay? And when you're so accustomed to being in fight or flight, you can literally teach your body to stay there and not turn off. It will literally hack your somatic nervous system, your brain-body connection. And what happens then is you can't manifest something different if you don't identify what's truly wrong. It's like saying, man, I really need a new car. And I'm like, I got you, girl. Okay, this is like, we're just talking law of attraction, the science of attraction, right? Energetically, you say, I need a new car, and you're never specific. And here I come with my 1985 Ford Festiva, and the bottom is rusted out. Here is your new car. We didn't say what we wanted.
Yeah.
So we haphazardly, and you're...
I have one of those cars. That's hilarious.
Mine probably remembers it because they can get to Angie.
Really? Tuition on point. We have the focus that's gone around to all the kids in our house. So many times we attracted the same person with a different face in that body or the same circumstance, and that's why. Because we know we just want this to go away, but we're never aiming for something else. And the thing about your reticular activating system, where there's a preview, there's a movie. And if you're not specific who's supposed to be in the movie, it will just put out a movie, right? And so if you aren't identifying what's wrong, we know something is wrong, we give it a blanket label because we want to get out of that uncomfortable emotion. Because just from the energy of the stress that you're talking about, I can tell that you can energetically go right into the place of the stress at work the second we talk about it, right? That we stick to when it keeps us from being where we feel like we need to be. So I want to do a couple of exercises. If it's okay with you, Jen, if you set up something else, I'll do a part 2 of this class if we run out of time. But I really want to be sensitive to a couple of the issues because I think it's okay. But the reason I do that is because a lot of what I teach, it's biblically sound. Anything I teach, I can connect to what's going on in the Word, and that's a really big concern when we're dealing with quantum physics and the metaphysical. is that there's a lot of new agey stuff that Christians really worry about. I deal solely with science. But I also want you to know that I'm like a total evangelical, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, believe Jesus died on the cross for me and you and all of that. So let me preface this with this, because I'm not saying we're about to summon anything, okay? But let me be clear on that. True statement, true fact. We are created in God's image and likeness. We know that God is there because of his energy, right? Because he's never personally knocked on my door and been like, what up, girl? Right? We can feel him. We can feel his presence. We can feel that he's there. God is made of energy. Here's what's cool scientifically, taking God totally out of it. But if you're Christian, leaving God totally in it, because he's greater of everything. But energy cannot be destroyed. It can be expanded. It can be contracted. It can be in motion. And it can be dormant. But it cannot be destroyed. So let me ask you this. Are you okay? I didn't think of that. I actually buy cases of Kleenex because crying is emotional peeing. It is emotional waste. We are set up to cry.
If you wait 2 minutes, I'll go get it. I can go get it for you.
Crying is emotional peeing. So people cry a lot around me because we're pulling that junk out. Okay?
I knew it happened and I didn't do it. I gotta go let her back in.
Okay, I'm gonna get it out here.
And energy hooks can be positive or they can be negative. In this particular case, it is incredibly positive. A love of your life, right? And so there's an energetic hook and connection that ties you to him. Energy doesn't die. So guess what? That means that you can still connect to that connection and that physical connection of how he loved you. You can tap right back into it. Just like we can tap into trauma. I'll give you an example. Totally benign, nothing to do with what you're going through, okay? Let me lighten the moment. I was 5 years old at Lincoln Elementary School in LaPorte, Indiana. I had waited months to be the line leader, and this was my day. And it was a beautiful fall afternoon, and the weather was just perfect. It was that Indian summer where it had been cold enough that we always had to wear our jackets, but today it was just that right warm, where there was a little bit of a cool breeze, but it was warm enough that you didn't have to wear your jacket. And my mama had brought me this beautiful wraparound skirt, and I had a strawberry shortcake shirt to go with it. I got to the front of the line. She called my name, and it was time for me to be the line leader. I go to the front of the line, and my skirt wasn't tied right.
Oh no.
And my little panties were showing, and I'm the only black girl in the whole school. Utterly, morbidly humiliated. Right now in this moment, I can go right back to that playground as if it happened this afternoon. We have the ability to do that at any time. This is trauma. So I'm going to do something with you. We're going to go back to your really good emotion with him. I want you to face me. I want you to chest up, back down. I want you to just relax. Okay? I want you to close your eyes. Okay? And I want you to tell me right now. Can I write with this? Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to just right now feel that pain of being alone. And I'm going to ask you really weird questions. And your brain's going to spit out an answer, and it's probably not going to make sense to you, and that's totally okay. Okay? I want to know, are you there? Okay. Can you feel the absence? Yes. What color is it? Blue. What animal is it?
Oh, it's a frog.
I want you to imagine it's drawn on canvas. What do you see? What's it smell like?
His hands are purple.
Told you it didn't have to make sense. Now I'm going to pull you out just for a second. I want you to keep your eyes closed. Okay? And I want you to go to a moment where it finally felt like the grief was letting up just a little bit and you were okay. What's the animal?
A fish.
What's the color? What's the sound? Or instrument?
I'd say the radio.
What's the smell that brings you the most peace?
Ocean.
All right. Okay. I'm going to take you back to the grief for just a second. Just a second. Okay. I want you to feel the moment you felt the deepest depth of loss. I got you. Holding space for you, and I'm not going to let you go too deep. I promise I won't. Okay? Okay. And I want you to, in your mind, I want you to see that color blue. And see that dog. And see that sun. And smell that purple. And I want you to see that purple. And that purple is going right into the ocean. It's drifting right into the ocean as all the little fish are swimming in it. And you can smell the salt. And you let that ocean just walk away with that grief. And everything that it needs to know about that grief. And it just goes out into that ocean. And that little fishy, it just takes it. As you hear the sound of the radio in the background. Just let that ocean go. And that fish goes farther and farther away. I want you to look at that fish and see that purple ocean and smell that air. And you know in that moment that you are okay. And that you are okay in and of yourself while that love is still there. Those beautiful memories are still there. You're able to watch that fish take it farther and farther and farther and farther into the ocean. Watch it until it absolutely, that grief is all the way past the sunset. Let me know when it gets there. As you hear your favorite song or the most peaceful melody you've ever heard on the radio. As you watch it past the horizon and you can no longer see it, I want you to build a dam that nothing can come back through, that fish cannot bring that grief back through, because there is a dam there. It is completely blocked off and able to affect you in the same way, with the same depth. Again, and you smell that ocean. And that ocean is beautiful purple still. And the radio is playing. And you feel nothing but complete peace, knowing that you have loved and been loved. And you are completely, utterly peaceful and safe. And there are literally things in our brain that are associated with the vibrations that make up all of that. So I'll use an example. On Guard has what? Orange and frankincense and what else is in here? It's been a while since I looked at it. And clove and cinnamon, eucalyptus and rosemary, right? All of this together makes up On Guard. Not just one thing. You have to have all of this together to make up On Guard. That's how big emotions and trauma are. There's been grief, there's been disappointment, there's been instability, there's been all these things making up this package of grief. Well, when we take each of these things out, they have their own matter that makes it up, right? In our brain, our reticular and superconscious mind knows that there are things with similar vibrations. We can attach a similar vibration to a color, an animal, a sound, those type of things, and make it safe for her brain to shift it over to that. It's fascinating how the brain works and how we attach things. So instead of trying to convince her how to get over something that nobody on the freaking planet knows how to get over, we can attach it in a different way so that her brain creates a different software to process as well. The stuff that we want to manifest, but that's not really what we need more of. We often can get to what we actually need more of by looking at what we need less of. Does that make sense?
It does to me. Because I was just thinking, I can't think of the opposite of guilt. And then the reason I have so much guilt is because my number one strength is responsibility. And so I need less responsibility to have less guilt. Did I take it right?
Yes and no. That's actually a default answer. You totally took it right.
Oh, okay.
But I would say that the opposite of guilt would be confidence. Because when you are confident that you have done the right thing, said the right thing, made the right thing, been the right place, and you're confident in it, there's no guilt.
Okay. That makes sense. I don't think I have it.
And an uncle, a grandparent, but this is the personality trait that happens that causes self-sabotage in people. It's the fact that you are not allowed to have an opinion or a perspective a lot of times as a child. And so we naturally try to keep ourselves in homeostasis when that person, their domineering way is keeping you from who you know you're supposed to be or doing what you know you're supposed to do. And then your subconscious mind says, authority bad, we buck against it. But our brains are kind of stupid. Remember when I told you that? Mm-hmm. It'll do weird stuff. When you're the authority figure of your own life, it never defaults and goes, oh, now we're the authority figure, it's all good. It goes, no, authority bad, must buck against it to keep her safe. That's where self-sabotage comes from. We're dealing with authority figures and our brain registers that we are not mentally or emotionally safe, then our brain is automatically going, we must fight this however we can. Some people just retreat or be quiet or whatever, but we see it down the line always in self-sabotage. And Michelle, I forgot what you got.
Less demanding. I put more easygoing. The opposite.
No, but yours was demands, right?
Yeah.
So would you say you need more relaxation and peace? Or acceptance for who you are?
Like, I'm relaxed, I'm no problem, but it's when he comes home, my son and I are like, it's like, oh.
That sounds to me like peace and acceptance. Check that and see if that resonates here or here. If he came home and you actually had peace, can you feel that in your body?
There.
That's what you need. Your brain will always recognize truth. Your body frequency will always recognize truth. Just like you know when you have a gut feeling in your body and you know that's a gut feeling, right? It's not just me thinking things, you know this is a gut feeling, right? Your body can always detect truth. If you sit there and you say it in your mind, it will drop to here or here if it's the truth. It'll resonate in your body. Go ahead.
I don't know.
What did you have that you need less of?
Speaker line.
Yeah, saying things that I shouldn't say, basically. Spit out what I don't know. I always say the wrong thing, and maybe not the wrong thing, I say too much. You know, like, I don't know.
So might I suggest for you self-confidence and self-acceptance?
Okay.
How's that resonate? What would it look like? I want you to think of a circumstance. Just put your foot in your mouth.
Last weekend.
Okay. If you had self-confidence in what you said and self-acceptance for what you said, would you be okay with it? Or, let's see, what would be the word? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Couth isn't the right word, but it's kind of the synonym. Help me out, y'all, if you think of it. And putting boundaries out there that demand respect. I want you to forgive yourself for probably thinking that there's something wrong with you and feeling like your body betrayed you. Right? I want you to forgive yourself for not being able to have kids. I'm going to come back and do a little more work with you. Forgive yourself for not having boundaries and not honoring what you need. Forgive yourself for not being okay with who you are, even if you do make mistakes and may not show the tact that you desire to work with and get there. Forgive yourself for being the you that you didn't want to be, because she was who she needed to be in that moment, whether you like it or not. It's just the truth, right? Forgive yourself for not having boundaries and taking on too much responsibility. Forgive yourself for feeling guilty when you have the right. You have the right to be guilt and shame free. You have the right to be confident and saying no. It's a complete sentence. It's a complete sentence. You have the right to forgive yourself for thinking that your worth is wrapped up in how much you do. Forgive yourself for not knowing how to go forward. There's no handle. Forgive yourself for skidding through. And it's okay if you are. Forgive yourself for not having that self-worth. And knowing that you are precious and special to the right people. So I'm going to play a song for you, and as this song plays, I just want you guys to walk. Okay? Just walk, and I want you to quietly just say, I forgive myself for. And I want you in your heart and your head to bring up those things that you did that. And I want you in those moments to forgive yourself for that. Okay? Everybody up. Hands open, just to receive. And give me a big inhale. Hold it at the top. And exhale. One more. A big inhale. Hold it at the top. Hold it. Exhale. Release. Now I want you to find the core of your center. If there was a pilot light inside of you, where would it be? I want you to focus on your pilot light. Where is your pilot light? I want you just to lift your hand if you got it, so that I know everybody's kind of tuned in. Got it, got it. Got it? Everybody else got their pilot light? Okay. And I want you just to focus on the energy of that pilot light, and I want you to imagine that it's got this kind of energetic bubble around it. Almost like when you look through smoke and you can see right through the smoke, but it's kind of got that little shaky haze around it. Almost like a bubble like that, all right? And I want you to focus on that pilot light and the bubble around your pilot light, and I want you to grow it out. I want you literally to imagine that pilot light that bubble of protection growing out so that it's right around you and surrounding you. You can feel the warmth of it all the way around you. Sometimes it takes a second, so I'm going to give that just a second. Then I want you to imagine yourself in your house and that bubble's around you in your house, and I want you to grow it out so it's right over, that bubble's right around your house. And then I want you to pretend like you're an astronaut with me, as if you can see down on Earth from a rocket ship, and I want you to grow it out so that almost like you can see it as if this bubble is not only around you, but it's literally surrounding the Earth as you see it. And I want you to grow it out one more time. Grow it out so that it literally extends to what you see as heaven. I want that big old bubble to touch literally what you see as heaven. I want you to see it. I want you to see what heaven in your mind looks like. Whether it be clouds or Jesus or pearly gates. And I want you to feel and see all around it. And I want you to inhale. Hold your breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. How stressed are you now? That exercise is called Grow It Out. And one of the things that it does in your brain is it automatically connects you to a safe place. Anyone, I don't care what your religious affiliation or anything, has a stereotype of heaven pretty much in our culture, that it's a place of peace and happiness, love, and comfort. So when we take that stress, your brain literally cannot do things like focus on analytical things like counting. So when you're actually focusing on that pilot light and growing it out, it literally, your brain can't cause panic. It literally cannot panic. It's a default mode. So anytime you're just feeling frantic, you can use the grow it out technique, and it'll take you to that really beautiful place. There's one more thing I want to teach you before we go. So I want you to turn your paper over, and I want you to make 3 columns. In the first column, I want you to write limiting belief.
Limiting what?
Limiting belief. Limiting belief. In the second column, I want you to write fear. The third column, I want you to write truth. Christy, right? Can I pick on you? Sure. Okay. I'm going to pick on you for just a second. I have not forgotten about you, just so you know. As a matter of fact, I think I might just bring you in my office and give you a free session. Let's go with the I talk too much. I'm doing this because it's an easy one to show. Okay? So I'm not picking on you because I'm picking on you. Picking on you because your circumstances is really easy for you to see. Okay, so I want you to go back to a place. You said last weekend you stuck your foot in your mouth. What did you tell yourself when you did that? Because the thing about limiting beliefs, the stuff that we tell ourselves is we tell ourselves these lies to make what happened go into homeostasis. And it's the stuff that we tell ourselves that actually causes the problem, not the actual problem. So when you did that, what did you tell yourself? What did the conversation, you to you, sound like?
What I said wasn't really that bad.
Okay.
And get over it.
And
No, I didn't ask, I didn't.
No, for the other person, yeah, no. But what I said, I don't know, but like, it wasn't really that bad, and it wasn't.
That's when you told me at the kitchen table, right?
I don't know.
Well, follow me. You said something before that, otherwise we wouldn't have come to the conclusion that you stuck your foot in your mouth.
Mhm.
So what was the thing that you said that made you conclude that you stuck your foot in your mouth?
Okay, the circumstance was that I was rushing around trying to get ready for a graduation party, and I asked my daughter, I said, can you do me a really big favor? And I spattered off, go down to the basement, go into this room, and go into this drawer, and get these 3 things, and then come back up and then give them to me. And she stared at me like a deer in the headlights, like, what? And I could just see all my kids doing it. What? So I said, never mind, I'll do it myself. And then I went down there and I did it. And I didn't mean to come across mean or anything like that, but I did. And I hurt her feelings, and, you know, then she cried, and I cried, and everybody cried.
Okay, so my question then is, what is the limiting belief? What is the thing that you tell yourself all the time when things like that happen? Is it, I shouldn't have opened my mouth, I never say the right thing, I'm just going with stuff that I've said to myself in that, so I'm not trying it all the way.
I'm a bad person.
There it is. That's the limiting belief. So I want you to write that thing down as the limiting belief. So that based on what you wrote down, what is the thing that you tell yourself when that happens? To work with just brilliant geniuses who know how to literally have autism, and people who are not Asperger's, so I don't struggle with that anymore. Mine is all sensory stuff. Clearly, I have no problem looking at you in the eye or talking to you. So, but it's, for me, it was all sensory stuff. But when I was little, it was not. I very much had to memorize when people are ready to go, this is what they do. I had to memorize a lot of things until I understood it. So the conversation for me sounded like, that's so stupid, I never say the right thing. Why are you stupid? Why can't you ever say the right thing? Why don't you know? Everybody else knows. Those are the type of conversations I would have with myself. Those are the type of conversations everybody has with themselves when there's a limiting belief. Why do I do that? What's wrong with you? Something is clearly wrong with you. I'm not a good blank. People are going to think I'm blank if I do this or don't do that. That's your limiting belief, okay? The fear is what happens if that's true. If that's true, what's your worst case scenario?
My daughter would never speak to me again.
That's your fear. The truth is what you would tell your friend if they came and told you and truly mean it, sincerely. So for me, what that would look like is there is nothing wrong with you. You just don't understand what to say in social situations, but it's nothing you can't learn. You get to make mistakes. You're not stupid for not knowing the right answer. Those are the type of things that are the truths, because those are real legitimate truths. I'm going to come back to you. Let me know when I get to the one that hits home, if any of these hit home. Because like I said, just in the interest of time, I'm throwing out stuff. Normally I have you do it, but just because we're short on time, I'm doing it this way. I'm broken. Something is wrong with me that I can't do this. What's wrong with me? I hate my body. This is not fair that everybody else gets to, and I don't. That's your limiting belief. Your fear may be, I'm broken. Your truth is that I am completely whole and okay, even in my disappointment. Completely whole and okay. So Can we go over just a little?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. I want
We're
to
shutting the building down, so.
Okay. They'll kick us out eventually, won't they? Freedom technique, okay? You know how we talked about all the chakras and how we have an emotional digestive system? This is where we see this stuff get really cool, okay? Because we're hacking emotions. You've seen an example with you. Truly feeling better? Truly feeling better. Because we have the ability to process emotions through, but when you are not speaking in the language, we can also do it with things like cravings. We can do it with just simply, I'm really pissed off and I need to get myself together because I got a meeting to go to in 20 minutes. It literally kind of is an emotional enema, pushes it right on through, all right? That doesn't mean this is going to go away. What you've got going on is going to take a little bit more extensive coaching. I can do a session like I did with her to really pull some of that grief, because you're going to have to be okay being okay and knowing that you're whole, even in the case. But I would like to pull some. I can see, I can physically see, and empathetically I can feel. She got a lot going on right here. I can literally feel it in your heart. And I would like, if it's okay with you, I would like to suggest that you use for the next 30 days. I would like you to do Melaleuca, On Guard, on your solar plexus.
Just the on guard.
Melaleuca and On Guard together on your solar plexus.
Tea tree.
Yeah, tea tree, sorry. Die hard Melaleuca girl. It's been your herbalist.
Yeah.
It's always going to be Melaleuca me. I want you to do geranium, thyme, and cypress over your heart. Peppermint on your temples. And if you have it, neroli from your wrist up to your elbow crease.
She'll have meditations. Yeah, sure. I think she does class.
Once a day, twice a day.
You can do it once. If you feel the need to do it twice, you can. Oh, and frankincense right here on your third eye. Or on the back of your neck, whichever you... No, I'm going to have you do it on the back of your neck. Frankincense and peppermint on the back of your neck. I know that's a lot, but I feel very intense, embedded belief grief. And that's kind of, we got to deal with that a little bit differently. Okay?
So use it like once a day?
Yeah, once a day is fine. Twice a day if you feel like it, but definitely get it in once a day. I'd probably do it in the morning.
She never sees a morning.
Okay, well then do it at night. Do it before you lay your head down, then let it soak. How about that?
She's a 1 o'clocker.
That's okay. Then do it before you go to bed. Before you go to bed, okay? I think you'll notice that things start to let up a little bit, slowly but surely, and it'll press you into a place of acceptance into yourself. With your permission, I'd like to do a couple of rounds of EFT with you. When you think about how overwhelming the grief is and the frustration and the upset of you not being able to have children at this point, from 1 to 10, where is it?
10.
Okay, let's see if we can get it down a little bit. Okay, are you willing to do that? Okay. I want you to tap with me and repeat after me. We're just going to be tapping on emotional meridians in your body, pushing it through. If you guys would like to follow along, you can pick your issue of even though I, all right? So for you, we are using the energy of words. You know how we said absolutely everything that exists has energy, right? One of the things that has really, really big energy are the emotions of love, respect, and acceptance. When we cover everything in that, it literally shifts our brain into a different energy instantly. that doesn't mean that this goes away instantly. That means that we pull up the software and we start putting the good stuff in, okay? And you'll kind of see how this goes. So it might be, for you, Jennifer, it might be, even though I feel guilty whenever I say no, I deeply and completely love and respect myself. So as you go through your limiting beliefs, I want you to think about your limiting beliefs, and I want you to tap. So when we say, even though her limiting beliefs, you'll put yours in its place, all right? So I'm holding space for you, but I'm going to just back up so everybody can see me, but I'd love to be right next to you. So I want you to know that. All right. I'm going to have you say it out loud.
Okay.
I'm going to be focused on you. You guys can kind of say it under your breath if you don't mind, but I really want to make sure her and my voice connect, okay? So take your sunglasses off for me. All right. Would you say your primary emotion first is angry or sad? Which is bigger?
I don't know. One's bigger than the other.
Okay, we'll say them together then. We can do that, all right? If I say something that's not true to you, say what is true. Change the language, okay? I'm just going to say the things that I've heard all of my people who have struggled with fertility say. And so I'm going to go with my knowledge, but if it applies, great. If it doesn't, when you talk out loud, I want you to say what does, even if it's a repeat. You follow?
Okay.
Okay. So even though I'm so angry and sad
I'm so angry and sad
that I can't have children,
that I can't have children,
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself,
Even though
this
this is not fair
is not fair.
and I didn't do anything to deserve this.
I didn't do anything to deserve this.
Yeah, I want you to stay right there. I deeply and completely love and respect myself.
Love and respect myself,
Even though I'm so mad.
even though I'm so mad.
I shouldn't have to go through this.
I shouldn't have to go through this.
Why do I have to go through this?
Why do I have to go through this?
I don't understand.
And I don't understand.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself.
I deeply
and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
I hate my freaking body.
I hate my freaking body.
That it's not doing what it's supposed to do.
That it didn't do what it's supposed to do.
I hate my freaking body.
I hate my freaking body.
That it let me down.
That it let me down.
I didn't deserve that.
Didn't deserve that.
But I deeply and completely
But I deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
Deeply and completely
Deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
It wasn't fair.
It wasn't fair.
The pain was literally unbearable.
The pain was unbearable.
I didn't think I would survive it.
I didn't think I would survive that.
And I'm so angry.
And I'm so angry.
Because all these people have kids
Because all these people have kids
that don't appreciate them.
that don't appreciate them.
And I would have.
And I would have.
I would have loved those babies.
I would have loved those babies.
I would have cared for those babies.
I would have cared for those babies.
Yeah, I would have been the best mama.
I would have been the best mama.
So why do they get to have kids and I don't?
So why do they get to have kids and I don't?
Because it's not fair.
Because it's not fair.
But I still deeply and completely love and respect myself.
love and respect myself.
I wanted kids so bad.
I wanted kids so bad.
Why did my heart have to break?
Why did my heart have to break?
And I would have been so good to them and for them.
Would have been so good to them and for them.
My heart hurts.
My heart hurts.
I'm so heartbroken.
I'm so heartbroken.
And I'm sick of it hurting all the time.
I'm sick of it hurting all the time. I didn't ask for this.
Nobody asks for this.
Nobody asks for this.
So why am I the one that's here?
So why am I the one that's here?
I don't understand it.
I don't understand it.
And I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to not understand it.
to not understand.
Because I deeply
Because I deeply
and completely
and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept accept myself.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to forgive my body for failing me,
to forgive my body for failing me
because I deeply and completely
because I deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to be okay
to be okay
with what's not okay,
with what's not okay
because I deeply and completely
because I deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
Even though
Even though
I failed at being a mother,
I failed at being a mother,
my heart is still a mom.
my heart is still a mom.
I am still whole and complete
I'm still whole and complete
because I deeply and completely
because I deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
I respect myself
I respect myself
and I respect my body
and I respect my body
and I forgive it
and I forgive it
for not doing what I so desperately wanted it to do.
for doing what I so desperately wanted it to do.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to be and feel whole
to be and feel whole
because I deeply and completely
because I deeply and completely
love and respect myself.
love and respect myself.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
not to grieve anymore
not to grieve anymore
if I don't want to,
if I don't want to
because I did everything I could do.
because I did everything I could do.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to know I'm not broken.
to know I'm not broken.
I'm whole with or without kids.
I'm whole with or without kids.
And the heart of the mother
And the heart of the mother
is a heart of the mother,
is the heart of the mother,
whether she has children or not.
whether she has children or not.
I honor my mother's heart.
I honor my mother's heart.
I honor my body.
I honor my body.
I honor myself.
I honor myself.
And I honor my grief
And I honor my grief
because I deeply
and completely
love
love
and respect myself.
and respect myself.
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and respect myself.
love and respect myself.
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
Even when I don't understand.
Even when I don't understand.
Even when I think it's not fair.
Even when I think is not fair.
Even though I don't understand why.
Even though I don't understand why.
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and respect myself.
love and respect myself.
Big deep breath in. Hold at the top. Exhale out. I want you to hold your head straight and look right or left with just your eyes. I want you to follow it around in a figure 8. And I want everybody to sing the first part of Happy Birthday. Just trust me.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear everybody. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, the reason we do that is we're actually sealing in what we did and we're engaging both hemispheres of the brain going back and forth so that it sticks. So when you sing, that happens. When you look, that happens. When you shift motion, it happens. So that's why we do that. So where it was a 10, that same feeling, I want you to go into that same thought and see how big it is now. Between 1 and 10, how big does it feel?
Got like 6.
There you go. That's not something that clearly you're gonna get rid of like that. You will if you're mad. Something like that if you're having an angry moment.
It helps with fear.
It helps
should have some
tremendously
release.
with fear.
I've used it in where I've been really anxious. Well, each time to me, but it's seriously.
Yeah, and it's literally a biohack. So I hope, I thank you all so much for coming out and hanging out with me tonight. If you're interested in staying in touch with me, make sure that you sign it. If you're interested in any kind of coaching session or future trainings like this, let me know. And if you have any questions, I have a card there. You can feel free to reach out. I'm not trying to bombard you with stacks of cards. My box broke.